Hi and welcome to a short video about the current tournament performance of some of the new commanders, starting with Vivi. But also in this video we are going to look at something of a kinda cEDH commander leaderboard so far. Because very importantly, the current new Final Fantasy and some other commanders that are very new don't have enough games to give a certainty in their result, so we can't really trust the win rate you see up there. So it's more of a pilot of how they are kind of performing. But we are also going to look at win rate in YouTube gameplay as well and see the percentage. But first, Vivi. So it's a very popular, very hyped commander that a lot of people have been speculating and saying it's the new Nadu, and it's not. Nadu had an average win rate of around 28%, which was very good. This is sitting on 21 or 21.5, which is still very good. So the average win rate in cEDH tournaments is around 20 or 21. So this is sitting around like the middle ground. So far, I mean, it's only have 59 tournament entries, so it can go up. And I think it's going to go up maybe a little bit. I think Vivi has a lot of potential, so yeah. It's looking very good and promising so far. Yasha Toll Knights Blessed is looking a little bit better. 17 entries so far and a 25 win rate, which means nothing. So 17 games is nothing, so you can't trust the win rate. But it's looking like, yeah, it's kinda working out as it seems. I mean, at the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. So yeah, you have some card draw in 3 color espers, which is kinda decent. Now, I don't think that this is a very super strong commander. I just think that 17 players so far have been quite successful. They can be lucky. But over time, I do think that this win rate is going to drop a tiny bit, somewhere around maybe 20 or 19 or so. One player actually brought Ultima, Origin of Oblivion, into a cEDH tournament game. I add everything, so it's there. I don't think we're ever going to showcase this again, because I don't think that many people are going to be playing this in tournaments. I don't think this card is that good. And if for some strange reason people were to reach that total dex to 1000, I think the win rate would go down to like 10 or 12. The Wandering Minstrel is sitting on from 7 games, so nothing, but so far 18.75%, so it's in the struggling area, you could say. It's lower than the total average, so it's like, it's not in the bottom feeder section, you could say, but yeah, it's so far it hasn't performed amazing. And honestly, I don't think it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I do think that the win rate up there, 18.75, is kinda correct, so if that 7 would change to a 700, I think you would see something of the same win rate, because in the end, it's a 5 color identity commander, low CMC cost, which has a cool land trick combo, so to say. But it's never going to be like super dominating, it's just gonna be something that is working out okay. Terra Magical Adept. Here we have some very promising result. And I made a video where I said, I don't think this is good. As you can see, I predicted a win rate of 19 to 20 from my card review for Terra Magical Adept. Maybe I'm wrong. No Mons, you're never wrong, let's double down. So first and foremost, 15 games are rather nothing. So the win rate of 28 is not trustworthy. They could be lucky, or they could just have surprised their opponents. Like someone sits down with Terra Magical Adept, your opponents think, oh, that's a casual player, and then boom, they combo off and win. I've heard a lot of arguments, and I actually do agree with the concept that Terra is a 5 color variant to Dihada. They basically have something of the similar playstyle, where you flicker, or you have Underworld Breach in play, and you flicker Dihada, or Terra in this case, and you dig and fuel your Underworld Breach that way. And if Terra is an upgraded version to Dihada, then sure, I could be wrong, because Dihada is sitting on 127 tournament entries and a win rate around 24%, which is higher than I predicted. So ultimately, I don't think that Terra is going to keep a 28 win rate. If it's going to see like 1000 games, then I think it's definitely going to drop. But there's definitely a possibility that I was wrong in my cEDH card review for her. This is a new card, so I guess we should showcase it too. Now it's definitely something that has kind of died down. As you can see, it's only have 31 tournament entries, and it's not the newest commander, so to say. So I think that the people that did bring it to cEDH tournament have basically said, no, that didn't really work out. Let's do something different. And as you can see, the win rate haven't really been good for her. Stella Lee Wild Card is also a new card, or not the newest, but a new kinda. As you can see, it has a very high popularity vote. It was very hyped when it came. So it has 243 tournament entries and an average win rate of 18.27. And this is something of a very secured result. Chi-square test result is statistically significant, so we can kinda trust the win rate up there, and it's below the total average, meaning it's not terrible, but it is kinda struggling. Ral Moon Sun Mage is a newer card, not the newest, but it's still considered to be kinda new. It has 80 tournament entries, so it's not an overhyped commander, it's just a little bit popular among a certain group, and it has existed for some time, so it has accumulated a collection of games so far. However, Chi-square test result is not statistically significant, so it needs more games to have a trustworthy result. However, so far it's showcasing a huge promise of close to 30%. This could potentially put it into the category of being the best commander inside the entire format. I don't think that it is. I think that this is going to go downwards over time if more people are playing it. Like if that 80 reached 800, then I think the win rate will be somewhere around 23. That is my speculation. But so far it's showcasing promise. This is definitely demonstrating the ability to win in tournaments, and so far it have been doing good. Noctis, Prince of Lucius, the guy that wins with 80 Flux Reservoir and Mox Diamond, is not doing great, but the tournament entries is only 12. But so far it hasn't showcased a good result so far, from 12 entries, which is very low. I do think that the win rate should be a little bit higher, so once this guy gets more games, it should climb definitely above 15% in my speculation. But so far, the people that have brought him to tournaments haven't been that successful. Definitely not. Narset Jeskai Waymaster is not... it's kinda new. Yeah, new enough. Isn't seeing a huge popularity vote, only 13 entries so far, and then win rate of 20.34%. Yeah, I think the win rate is kinda correct. Not now 13 games is nothing, so it's been showcasing an average performance to the total average of what most commanders that enter into tournaments get. Then we have Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. This is a very hyped, popular commander for some reason. I didn't expect this to be that popular, but hey, it's a very unique, strange game-playing experience that is playing a lot of lands. So you play around 40 to 50 lands, so to say, in this deck, which is very different. I mean, Gitrog Monster is up there too, but still. So far it has 110 tournament entries, which is quite a lot for a mono green commander, and an average win rate of 21.68, which was the same as Vivi, which we looked at in the beginning of this video. So you could say that Lumra and Vivi seems to be kinda equal so far. Now, first and foremost, the tournament entries are not enough to say this with a certainty, but hey, so far it looks like the Big Bear is doing okay in tournaments. It is definitely not in the don't bring this to tournament section. It is kind of in the middle ground. It's doing okay, which is actually surprising me a lot, by the way. I predicted this to be weaker. I thought this was gonna be around like 15-16% win rate. Well, definitely not 21. We will see how this develops. I promise to keep you updated. Next up is Cottis the Fang Keeper. So far 5 tournament entries, which is nothing, so it doesn't seem to be popular. I mean, people don't want to bring this to tournaments, and the ones that haven't been that successful. So yeah, it is in the area where you would say don't bring this to tournaments, but 5 games is nothing, so we will have to see how it develops. But so far it hasn't been doing a promising result. Ketramos, the new Dawn, 5 tournaments so far, 17.39, so yeah, it would be in a struggling area. 5 games means nothing, so we can't trust the win rate, but it doesn't seem to be popular, so I don't think we're going to see a huge development in this area. Basically similar to Kotis, the Fang Keeper. That brings us to Kefka Court Mage. From 36 tournament entries, it has achieved a 24 average win rate, which is really good. Now, first and foremost, the chi-square test result is not statistically significant. The number of tournament entries are just too few. However, being a Grixis color identity with a huge card draw potential in the command zone that is repeatable, it has promise. It looks like this could be a recommended commander for tournaments. If it keeps this up, then yeah, definitely good cEDH commander. I've promised to keep you updated on Hashaton Scarab's Fist win rate, so 211 tournament entries, an average win rate of 15%. So it's definitely in the struggling area and not really recommended for tournaments, is kind of the verdict. But it needs more tournament entries to get a secured answer. Like so far, we can't really say that 14 or 15 is a guarantee, so need more games. So I will keep you updated. But it still doesn't seem to be like climbing upwards. It's staying down in 15%. Glarb is sitting on 17.44 from 318 tournament entries, and now we have enough games to say that this is a trustworthy result, which means that Glarb is a struggling commander, not really recommended for tournaments, but it could win a game here and there. It is a cool commander, I kinda like it, the playstyle is fantastic and really fun, but in the end, maybe a little bit too much gimmicky and too slow in comparison to how the other cEDH commander decks out there can operate and win. Also, you put a very strange deck construction demand of playing a high CMC cost overall, which is tricky to make it work currently. So yes, I can definitely see that this is somewhat struggling. We should mention Flubs the Fool too. Also a kinda new commander, it has a 53 tournament win rate and a 10% average win rate. And the chi-square test result is statistically significant. Now it has a very low tournament entry. However, this chi-square test is still trustworthy because all of the Flub's entries have been performing bad. And what I mean by that is that normally you have a few games where someone wins a lot and someone doesn't win that much. So there's a huge spread. But when everyone is performing kind of the same, then suddenly the t-test is secured faster on a lower value. So what I mean by that is that every Flubs the Fool player who have entered into a tournament haven't been performing good. And I know this because I've looked at Flubs over time and it's always been down at 10%. So yeah, no one have been really winning, or well, Ian. There was a tournament where everyone was playing Flubs the Fool. I didn't add a single game from that, by the way. Because when you're adding a tournament entries from a tournament where everyone's playing Flubs the Fool, it doesn't play against all the other commander decks out there, and the win rate gets skewed, and it doesn't showcase exactly how it would have been performing if it went up against something like Blue Farm or Hashaton or Tymna Thrasius. So I didn't include any Flubs the Fool tournament entries from that Flubs the Fool only tournament, for those that were wondering. Ultimately, this is definitely not a tour recommended. Like, this is down at the bottom. Like, sure, there are a few commanders in here that has a much lower win rate than Flubs, but still, this is don't bring this to a tournament verdict. Or, well, maybe a recreation thinking on how Flubs the Fool should be. The current build that is brought to tournaments simply doesn't work. Celes Rune Knight. 9 tournament entries and an average win rate of 8.82%. So yeah, I can see why this one isn't that great. I don't think this is gonna climb higher either. Similar to Captain America First Avenger, similar result, 13 tournament entries and an average win rate below 10%. So don't bring this to tournaments anymore either, those of you that do. So that was a fast look into how some of the newer commanders are currently performing in tournaments. But to get a proper understanding of how good certain commanders currently are, we need to compare it to some of the ones that's been around for ages. Starting with the bottom, we have Yuriko the Tiger Shadow. I've always been saying that this is a struggling commander. I mean, it's been going down more and more, so I don't think Yuriko... I mean, it's starting to almost be like a not cEDH commander anymore, maybe. It's not recommended for tournaments, the win rate is very low. It used to be around 18, so it's been going down. And this is even 519 games, so the verdict here on Yuriko is very strong. Not good. Similar to Venota Joiner Forces, it's also not good. Tivit is sitting very strong and secure, similar to how Vivi is performing. So Vivi, Tivit seems to have currently the same win rate, but we will see over time how Vivi develops. I want to say that Tivit have basically had this win rate forever. The banning of Dockside did increase it like by 0.5%. Sisei, Weatherlight Captain, my favorite commander, is sitting on 673 tournament entries and almost a 24 average win rate. So she's doing good. Still. Nayela have been dropping, she has 316 tournament entries and an average win rate of 20%. She used to have a lot higher, as you can see, minus 2%, so she used to be around 22, but yeah, she's been falling off. Or well, she's still like not in a terrible position, but the win rate have been going downwards. That is the final word, you would say. Tymna Krom is sitting on a 1,596 tournament entries, the most played commander I have in my dataset, and an average win rate of 26.30%, currently being the best commander inside the entire format. Or, well, there are commanders that are sitting with a higher win rate, but not with the same amount of tournament entries, ultimately meaning that most commanders that have a higher win rate don't have a secured, defined that this is a trustworthy win rate. Tymna Krom, with so many games, have something of a more trustworthy win rate. Kinnan also being super popular, 1,305 tournament entries and an average win rate of 22.5. So it's doing good. It is 1 percentage point better than Vivi, but in the end the difference between 1% here and there isn't that much. So you could say, and I would say, that Kinnan, Vivi might be equal, but we will see over time. I do think that Vivi's win rate is going to increase slightly over time, so I think they're going to be kinda equal. Then we have Rograk Thrasius, the new Temur boss. It's getting very popular. I've noticed that a lot of players have been starting to play this more and more. The amount of tournament entries is going up and up each week. So currently 603 tournament entries and an average win rate of 22.88, which is really good. It is currently sitting at the same win rate as Kinnan. And the last commander we should look at is the Grixis Rogsai, with a 688 tournament entries, so it's played a lot, and an average win rate of 25.20. So this, in my opinion, might be the second best commander inside the entire format, potentially. Sure, there are a few commanders out there with higher win rates, similar to Tymna and Krom, but in the end, not with this high amount of tournament entries, so to say. On the other hand, a win rate 1% difference here and there isn't that much, so in the end you might be able to say that Tymna Krom, Rogsai, kinda equal, and some commanders sitting on a 24 average win rate might be equal to Rogsai too. But ultimately this is definitely a strong boogeyman of the format, quite capable of winning in tournaments a lot. That takes us to the second part of this video. You see, I'm also looking at YouTube gameplays and basically record or take notes of everything. what commanders people are playing, how many lands they're playing, what cards they're playing, and what turn order and player position they have in turn order, and the turn count of how many turns the game received and such. And here we have win rates on various commanders. Now this is not from tournaments, this is literally from YouTube gameplays, like from my channel and others. The most games of one commander that I have is Tymna and Crom on 74 games and an average win rate of 33.8. Now I need to emphasize something very importantly. In tournaments you have draws, which can lower the amount, because in draws no one wins the game, there are no winners. So the average win rate in cEDH tournaments is around 21 or 20, like I said earlier in this video. However, in YouTube gameplay videos, the average win rate is completely on 25, because there's always going to be one winner and 3 losers. So an average win rate of 33.8 is not comparable to the tournament win rate, but a 33.8 is a lot higher compared to 25, so yeah, they seem to be doing good. Also, if you take a look at this, you see how many times Tymna Crom have been winning in certain player positions, and you can see that player 3 they have won more. This is important to understand, because if it would be player 1 would be super high, we could say they were lucky. They were in the starting position all the time, so the win rate isn't that trustworthy because they could just be lucky. In this case, they actually been unlucky playing in third position more than... Yeah, they've been playing in third position more than first position, and they've been winning more in third position compared to any other position. So let's look at some other commanders, like Vivi! Currently Vivi has 16 games from YouTube gameplay, and an average win rate of 37.5. And by the way, if you look down here, you have the same kind of spread. They have more wins in third position than... Well, they have 1 win in every other and 3 wins in third position. Total wins is 6, lost 10 games, which is a very good performance so far. Now 16 games is nothing, but it's looking good. cEDH has 65 games and an average win rate of 30.8%. So she's also doing very good. And as you can see, she has a very spread out win position. She has most wins in second position and the fewest wins in first position, actually. Kinda funny. And here's a funny development. Rogsai has a lower win rate compared to cEDH and Tymna Thrasius. If you remember, Tymna Thrasius and cEDH had a lower win rate in tournaments, but Rogsai has a lower win rate in YouTube gameplay. Why is that? Lots of potential speculations. And I have talked about before why certain commanders are winning more in game YouTube compared to tournaments. By the way, these guys actually have a higher win rate position in first position. I mean, this is a turbo deck. They have to win early, they can't win late. The longer the game goes, the lower the win rate this commander is going to have. And one important factor is that in cEDH tournaments, it's very hard to politic. While in YouTube games where you're playing with your friends, there's no money at stake except glory. That's the only reward. You can make deals. And this struggles in deals because it's trying to perform something strong early in the game. And that could be the reason why commanders like Tymna Thrasius and cEDH that are more grindy have a better performance compared to this turbo team. And the same thing could basically be kinda said with Tymna, the Weaver and Crom Ludwig's Opus. Now we have only 49 games, and yeah, the YouTube stuff isn't like statistically significant yet. It's just showcasing a pilot of how things are looking so far, from a total of 415 games that I've added to my dataset. We have Hashaton Scarab's Fist, 30 games, 16.7 average win rate, which is kind of identical to what it had in tournaments. So from 30 games, it's only won 5. So it's looking kind of struggling still. Najela the Blade Blossom, from 50 games, have a 28% win rate and a very good spread on how much it's winning in each different turn order position. Let's also look at Nadu Winged Wisdom. I do have some games from cEDH YouTube gameplay, where people played Nadu before the ban. And here's a great example. We're talking about Vivi being the new Nadu. From 16 games, Vivi has an average win rate of 37.5, where Nadu have an average win rate of 43.8. So yeah, they kinda look similar, but in the end, Vivi is a little bit lower in the win rate compared to Nadu. Also, by the way, Vivi have been winning more on third position, while this have been winning more in second position and nothing in fourth position. So you could make an argument that maybe Nadu have been a little bit lucky, while Vivi have been a little bit unlucky in seat order. You can also see that Nadu have been in player position 2 a lot more than Vivi, so once again you could make that argument that Vivi have been unlucky, and maybe Vivi's win rate could be higher. So taking that into perspective, I don't have the true answer. Is Vivi equal to Nadu? I don't think it is. Sure, there's a luck factor I've been mentioning here, but the amount of games is very low, 16 are very few. But once Vivi and maybe even a few more Nadu games, I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna get that because that's banned, but who knows, maybe Nadu will be unbanned eventually, and we get more Nadu games. And if we would reach a higher count, look, if I had 100 Vivi games and 100 Nadu games, I think Nadu would have a much higher win rate compared to Vivi. But looking at this, and looking at this, I do think that Vivi has a promising foothold inside the cEDH tournament format, and a definitely strong commander to be scared of inside this game. But I have one more thing to show you, and a future work in progress. We don't have enough data to really start saying anything here, but this is kind of the goal. We're going to do a arm wrestling competition between each individual commander, because when you're looking at the commander's win rate, you see it kind of in a vacuum. You don't compare it to anything. So it's a possibility that a certain commander have been playing against casual decks, that's a chance, or weak commander decks. So you can have like Vivi play versus only bad commanders, and then suddenly Vivi's win rate will look amazing. However, what I'm planning to do in the future is have a comparison instead, one commander versus another commander. For example, here we have 4 games where cEDH went up against Kinnan, and in those games 3, because 75% is 3 games, and 1 game was won by cEDH. So currently here it looks like when cEDH and Kinnan are going up against each other, Kinnan seems to be winning more. Now 4 games is nothing, but you're getting the point. If that would be 400, we would definitely see that, okay, from 400 games, Kinnan have won 300 and cEDH have won 100. Kinnan seems to be stronger than cEDH. And we can do this with like every single commander out there in different combinations, so to say. So for example, Tymnakrom versus Nayela, they've only... Well, there's also a chance that they have played against each other and no one of them won. But in this situation, Tymnakrom have won 2 games versus Nayela, and Nayela have never won versus Blue Farm so far. Now I'm confusing you, like this isn't making sense. For example, I said that Nayela had a win rate of 28, and these guys have a win rate of 20. So Nayela is stronger than Tymnakrom, right? Now the thing is that there is a chance, like I said, that Nayela have just been playing against casual or weak commanders, so to say, while these guys have only been playing against really strong stuff. Because here is the best way to determine who is stronger. Who is stronger than Tymnakrom? Nayela or Blue Farm? So far the amount of games isn't that enough, but over time we will see a stronger result in this, once I've collected more games. But what is the verdict of this video? Basically, he's been showcasing me win rates of Vivi here and there, and nothing is a certainty. And then he's showcasing a different comparison between Blue Farm and Nayela, and nothing is a certainty. Can we really trust this person? Yes, you can. I'm trying to show you data of how things are looking in different angles, and the takeaway is that we need to look at things from a different lots of angles to get a broader perspective of what the truth is on how strong various commanders are. And from the different angles we've looked at, we can kinda say that Vivi should be good. On a lot of the other commanders I've showcased in this video, on the newer commanders, so to say, from Final Fantasy, we need more games, but we can kinda see of how they are performing and how it could look like in the future. And once we have more data where we can compare it in different angles, like I've showcased my intent of comparing one commander versus another commander in an arm wrestling struggle, we will see more certain truth. But for now, the verdict is that from all the angles, Vivi looks to be good, but not like Nadu good. In any case, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.